again,
Hello, everybody.
YouTube. We've got the special Necromon deck profile. Kiri here is doing us a huge favor and giving us the deck profile that she featured on our Crossheart Necromon match commentary that went live a couple days ago. So if you haven't checked that video out yet, please do check that out. And if you haven't checked out her channel, check that out as well. I will link all of that in the video description as well. I'll link her YouTube, her Twitch, and any other links you want to throw my way. I'll put them in there. But yeah,
Cool.
Thanks for hopping on. And
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Glad we can go through this and kind of break it down. But
for sure.
Yeah, so essentially, cool. This is essentially my current Necromon deck, what I've been messing with. It's gone through a few renditions. I'll try to mention some tech choices that I've had in the past versus what I'm kind of running now. But why don't we jump right into this? So starting with our eggs, we are running 4 of the Demimeras, which the 4th one is here. These are our BT20 ones. In particular, with the on deletion, you can grab a ghost trait back from your trash. I find that this egg is super useful because of the fact that you essentially are grabbing what the deck does, which is ghosts. So having that at 4 is a must. You can also run the other Demimeras with the draw 1 trash one. You have some flexibility to work with there if you'd like. As for our level 3s, we of course have our Searcher Ghost Mons. These are the BT20 ones, which allow you to grab a Liberator and a Ghost trait. This is so good, especially paired with the Violet, to be able to like on-play stuff, and you can grab out the Violets. You can grab out basically everything in this deck, minus a couple of the tech choices. So I do find this really good. And of course, the inheritable of gaining a memory on deletion. You will notice with this deck, you are deleting yourself a lot, or you're trying to essentially encourage getting deleted. So having those on deletions and being able to kind of grab turn back, if let's say you pass it, you can kind of grab it back once you delete with execute, becomes super, super enjoyable. So yeah, so that's that. For our other level 3, we are running just 3 of the Retaliation Candlemons. I'm debating on moving this up to 4. I'm kind of tinkering with 3 right now. I think the Retaliation at such a low level is very nice, especially when your opponents have a lot of suspended stuff at extremely high levels. You feel a lot better swinging in with a low level Digimon with Retaliation and kind of going from there. Also, you have the on deletion effect of by trashing 1 card, you can delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower. So when that is an inheritable, it is a pretty strong way to delete bodies off the field whenever you need to. One of my tech choices that I'm running, surprisingly, is Gazimon right now. I'm also thinking Psychmon. I kind of, again, am playing with the 2. So I'm sticking with the Gazimon for now. This could also be, I believe, the BT16 one that has the inheritable of gaining 1 memory. I just don't have the physical card, so I'm kind of using this one for now as a floodgate to kind of slow my opponent's memory gain down when I start dealing with things that trigger memory. And it doesn't affect my memory gains, which is great.
Yeah.
So that essentially is my level 3 lineup that I've got going on. As for my level 4s, we are running 3 of the BT20 Bakimon. This is the one that allows you to, if you have 1 or fewer Tamers, you may play out a Violet in boots without paying its cost. This is a really great card to Digivolve into, especially if you want to go on top of the Ghostmon. You kind of get that double memory gain effect from the inheritables eventually. But also getting your Violets out as early as possible and having 2 out is really, really good. So I am running 3 of them. I have tinkered with 4 before, but right now we've kind of switched it around because I wanted to fit a couple more Searcher, like the Searcher Bakis in there as well, which you'll see in a minute. Sure. I'm also running the Soulmon. This is the one that gives retaliation to something. I'm finding this super useful because I can give retaliation to my Phantomons. I can give it to my Necromon. I could even give it to the Reapermon as well. It just says any Digimon. It doesn't specify that it has to be a Ghost Trait Digimon, which means that is also viable for stuff like Gazi or any of my tech choices in the deck as well, like Anubis, or when I was playing Merva, I could also still give it retaliation and make it really broken. Gotcha. So fun times.
Yeah.
And this one has the same sort of concept of on deletion, trash 1 of your cards, delete 1 of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. So the inheritable is really good there. As well as it being on play and 1 digivolving. or the retaliation option is very good. The other one I am currently running, and this is where I'm kind of like tinkering between 3 versus 4, 3 versus 3, is of course the Bakimon from BT15, which is 1 Digivolving or on deletion, draw 1, trash 1. So you feel a lot better swinging with this if you need to get the extra draw off of it and kind of working from there. So I do like this draw 1, trash 1 option here. It also helps fill up your trash a lot better, so then you can cycle better with your Demi-Meras and later on with like the Violets and the Necromons as well. And it has retaliation inheritable. So once you have this under a stack, your entire stack will have retaliation without worry. You don't have to necessarily designate it with the Soulmon. Gotcha. So that is essentially our level 4 lineup. Level 5 is actually a bit, I mean, I always think like 8 is a bit low, but it seems to work. I haven't really had any issues with it. Yeah. We are running 4 of the BT20 Phantomons, which are essentially with the first keyword of execute that show up in the deck. So this is, of course, the one where you can swing at execute as long as you have it on a stack or it has rush. You can swing, check either security, swing at unsuspended Digimon, or even swing at suspended Digimon with it. With the caveat, of course, is that it has to execute itself in the process as well. Its on deletion effect, which is playing 1 level 4 or lower Digimon without paying the cost, is really great at cycling out all of this again. So you could cycle out your Baki or your Soulmons. You're kind of more inclined to grab one of these 2 level 4s, or even your Ghostmons. I find a lot of times I'm grabbing out the Ghostmons for your level 3s because getting that extra search and getting those Liberators and Ghost traits are always useful. So I'll usually kind of, in my game style or my play style, I'll usually be more inclined to grab either the Ghostmons or the on-play Baki just with it. Sure. And then, of course, its inheritable allows you to play out a level 4 or lower. So you're essentially getting the same effect, whether it's on the top of the Digi-Evolution sources or it's inside the inheritables, which is really great because once you get to those Necromons or the Reapermons, you kind of start to play out an entire army of ghosts, which is beautiful, which is what you want to do. So it's awesome. The other level 5s I'm running is actually the BT20 Metal Phantomon. This allows you to go off of Phantomon for a cost of 1 instead of for the cost of 4. It has blocker, and of course it does have its on play or when Digivolving, and you can delete a Digimon. Deleting one of your Digimon, you can delete one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. So I find that the effect is really useful, but I do like Digivolving into it for 1. It can kind of help me choke my opponent to 1, and then I have a blocker alive, which I find I've used a lot, especially in that video where we played against each other. I was getting this out left, right, and center because I knew having blockers out was going to be the way to go for that. So that is essentially my level 5 line. I'm trying to decide if there would be another level 5 worth playing in the deck. There's probably a few, but I just haven't really played them out yet. I'm kind of still tinkering with it.
Chimera, the old Chimera, where you can like warp like DNA and then have like an extra swing or just another body to go into like another, you know, top end.
I think that's a really good tech card to have. I don't have the physical card, but I've been seeing a lot of people who have been playtesting it, and I can see the amount of power. So it wouldn't hurt to run maybe 1 or 2 in the deck too. And it also kind of strengthens up your level 5s, especially because right now we're only running 8 in this particular deck. Sure. I think having the extra 1 or 2 cards might feel a little bit more balanced. So the Chimera would definitely be a good option as a level 5 card to a level 5 Digimon to be playing with.
Totally.
So cool. I think it's good. On to our 6s. The main event is here, which is, of course, our Necromon. What can I say about Necromon? This is a fantastic... it's a fantastic card. Good. I don't know what else to say about it. It is so strong with its... Not only, like, it has when Digivolving and on play. That's what makes it so crazy. So, just to give you a proper read-through of it. On play, when Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level. So already, if they only have 1 body on the field, guess what? Bye-bye. It's gone. And then, of course, you get on play when deletion. You may play 1 level 5 or lower Digimon card with the Ghost trait from your trash without paying the cost. So if you're wondering why the on play is there, it's definitely to pair with the Apparition Legion option card. Because essentially, if you have your opponent has a level 6 and a level 3 in their trash, You're sending those to the bottom of your opponent's deck. You're playing this out, getting both on-play effects to work with, which makes it absolutely wild if you really want to go there. And then you can get a level 3 if you need more searching, if you need more retaliation, you have those options. So this is such a powerful card. On top of that, this is our second card with our execute keyword. So this allows us to swing not just for 1 check, but for security +1. So you're actually getting 2 checks off of this, regardless of whether you're choosing to use execute or you are just swinging it on your turn. So I really like this because it gives you those effects, especially with the on deletion play out a level 5. So if you time things correctly with the Necromon, you swing, let's say you swing with execute on the Necromon. An example of how I would trigger this depending on what's underneath is I would essentially gain the memory off the Ghostmon. I would then, maybe if we had another Bakimon, gain a memory off the Bakimon.
Sure.
Then I would do the Phantomon to play out my other Bakimon, which is like draw 1, trash 1. Let's say it was in my trash. Then I could use the Necromon to play out the Phantomon and then use the Violet to Digivolve any of them into something. And it gets very broken. And theoretically, if you have a Phantomon in your hand, you can literally go Violet into Phantomon for free. So, or Metal Phantomon for free, right? So this is where you kind of have some play to work with, which I really like how the line works. Or you can kind of flip it around. Maybe you don't have this Phantomon. You literally just use the Necromon, play out a blocker, and it sets your opponent up with blockers on your field.
Sure. So
you have a lot of play to work with. Totally. The other thing you can do if you really want, which is a crazy cycle, is execute with Necromon, play out, use this Phantomon to play out a level 4, then use Necromon to play out a level 5, theoretically. And then you can use Violet to Digivolve into a blocker, and essentially you can kind of, you can like almost, if you play it correctly, you can set yourself up with 2 blockers from the trash if you have Metal Phantomons in the trash. So there's a lot of lines that you can like, there's a lot of play with the level 6s, and I really like it. So our other level 6s, of course, are the Reapermons, which is another card that you can use really well with the Violet that allows you to Digivolve, because then you can essentially set up another blocker this way as well. So if you play out the blocker Metal Phantomon, and then let's say you already have a Phantomon on the field, you can Digivolve. It's really fun. So this Reapermon, I'm only running 2 right now, but I do enjoy it a lot. It is the one when an effect Digivolves your opponent's Digimon, de-Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon. So this is a really good card to combat ace plays. Because acing is an effect. So you can actually they do their ace play, whatever has to trigger triggers, and then you get to go, oh, Reapermon says de-Digivolve overflow. So you got a lot of strength with this card to kind of work with there. It also has collision and blocker, which is really great as well. So if it is your turn, you can kind of collision with it and pop a body very easily. And then it does also have an on deletion effect, which is delete one of your opponent's play cost of 4 or lower Digimon or Tamers. So it actually helps against Tamer cards as well, which is pretty sweet. So
is that an all turns effect, the Evo one?
The Evo is all turns, yes. Oof. Because it's based on your opponent's turn as well. So theoretically, if they have effects that can Digivolve on their turn, I think, is it Vmons that do it? The armor form? They can let you Digivolve for reduced, or not Digivolve by effect. There's a couple.
Well, there's security. Like Magnamon lets you do that. The Salamon lets you do that too. Trainings also will do that, right?
Trainings also will affect this, yeah. So you've got a lot of cards that do by effect that you're like, yes, haha, reduced. So anything that is Digivolved by an effect can be affected by Reapermon. So it's pretty good. My current tech choice right now is the Anubismon, because you get to trash stuff and play things out. It works really well because you are playing out a lot of Digimon by effects, so you can start deleting things very easily. So I think the Anubismon is a really good card to have in this deck as a tech choice. I've also been playing with the Merva and Ignitemon. I'm just very new to that. I don't know why I feel so new to Merva, but I have to kind of practice with it a lot more in order to feel more comfortable. But definitely having the Anubis, the Merva, and the Ignite, they pair really nicely together as a trio. So if that's something you are interested in and you're confident with your Merva and Ignite cross evoing, definitely consider that as a tech choice option for you, because they are very strong, especially with the Anubis on field. So I am running one of the Anubis for now.
Mm-hmm.
As for level 7s, we are running the Blast Mode Ace that's coming out. Man, well, is it technically out? Or it's not out yet? I never remember with the box. Because I know they're coming in like 3 waves. So I'm like, or 2 waves, sorry.
Yeah.
So I think the first wave didn't have it. And I think this upcoming wave, or the box that is coming out at the end of the month, does have it. Yeah. But this Ace card is very nice in a pinch. So I've used it a few times, or at least tried to. But it allows you to delete your opponent's Digimon. So the wording is like, of course, you delete a level 6 or lower Digimon. But if you have 10 or more cards in your trash, then you can delete any Digimon, because it just says delete a Digimon instead. So you can target level 7s with it a lot better if you have more in your trash, which more than likely you are going to have a ton in your trash.
Yeah.
And then, of course, its one attacking option is by returning 10 non-Digi-Egg cards from your trash, you can trash your opponent's security stack. So you're kind of being like, I'll trash your security and swing for gain. It's kind of a good end of turn thing, or good to stop your opponent from swinging at you if you are running out of security and you're like, I need to protect myself a little bit longer. So
what are your thoughts
that
on,
is
like,
essentially
ruin mode?
Oh, ruin mode should be run in here too. Like, I think ruin mode for most purple decks is a very good one. Mine's just currently sitting in my Mass Daemon deck right now. So yeah, ruin mode is a great card, because that really kind of slows your opponent down, especially if you've essentially wiped their board, which I have done with this deck. I think I did it a couple times, like in a row. I was constantly like wiping my opponent's like deck, like their board completely. So I think I would have had an easier time beating that opponent had I had the ruin mode in there, because then they wouldn't be able to push anything out, because it minuses by 5,000. So the ruin mode is also a very good level 7 option to have in there.
For sure.
So definitely like that as well. So I need to get another one at some point, just so I have 2, so I can run one in here. Which is good. Tamer time. Woo. Violets, this is your memory setter Violet, as well as at the start of your main phase, by trashing 1 option card or 1 card with the ghost trait, you can draw 1. This is just your memory setter one. I found having more than 2 was a bit much for my play style, but I also think like 2 to 3 is a sweet number for me, at least for the memory setter styles. Mostly because I want to see the other Violet, which is our BT20 Violet. I want to see this more often than necessarily once you have a memory setter, you're good. And you've got a lot of search off of a lot of your Digimon. So I find that 2 is okay for me.
Sure.
Our BT20s, we are running 4 of them, which are so good. And yes, I had to print the alt art. I couldn't resist. So these ones in particular are if your opponent has a Digimon, you may gain 1 memory, or you just gain a memory. It doesn't even say may, it's like just gain a memory. So with that, and then of course this one is when any of your Digimon with ghost trait are deleted, you can choose another Digimon to digivolve into a ghost trait for a reduced cost of 2.
Sure.
So yeah, this is very strong against all of this, which is nice. So I really like it. And it's very good because it just says 1 of your Digimon. It doesn't specify that it has to be a ghost Digimon that you could digivolve. So theoretically, you could if there was a level 7 ghost, you could digivolve Anubis into a ghost. You could digivolve Gazimon into a ghost, which is really nice. Gotcha. So the catch is you have to digivolve into a ghost, but you don't necessarily have to be a ghost to digivolve. Yeah, but a ghost has to be deleted for you to do it. So a lot of fun with this. I think that this is a good card to have. It is very strong, especially because they can all trigger if you'd like them to. So if you have all 4 out, you could essentially play out a Candlemon, digivolve for a reduced cost, digivolve for a reduced cost, digivolve for a reduced cost. And yes, it'll cost you a bit of memory by the end of it all, but you could theoretically get into a level 6 very fast if you have all 4 out. And I think that that's pretty fun to do. Just being like, oh, yes, I'll go from my level 4 to my level 5 to my blocker to my level 6. Have fun.
It's not bad.
Or you could spread them out. If you have enough of a wide board, like let's say you have a wide enough board, you could spread out the Evos as well and set up a really good, nice line of blockers. You can kind of get the Necromon going again, and you have some options there to work with. So yeah, I think that for me, I'm enjoying it at 4. So I'm really liking that play there. And then my last set of Tamers is actually Analog Youth. I don't have 4 to play. I think 4 is too many for me. But I do think a lot of people are starting to run 4 of the Analog Youth because it is a very cheap searcher to grab out Digimon, and it doesn't specify what type of Digimon. It just says reveal top 3, grab Digimon. It almost does everything you need. You're revealing 3 cards, you're grabbing a Digimon, you're trashing the other 2, so you're already building up your trash, and all that is for 2 cost, which is fantastic. And then, of course, the alterns of when a Digimon that is a level 5 with Digi-Evolution sources is deleted, oh, guess what? You can suspend to gain a memory and then hatch in your breeding area. So I find the Analog Youths are really good to have in this deck because I find I don't have issues climbing up to my level 5s at all. Like most of the time I don't have any issues with it. So it's very easy for me to start triggering that Analog Youth very early on, which I really enjoy. So that is why these are kind of my tech choice in here. You could technically run another Violet. You could change this to, what would another Tamer be that would be good? I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
I mean, I think Analog does a lot, like you said. I mean, it's just so good because, especially with Execute, like with the Phantom, like you're able to whip back turn so quickly. You know, you have 2 Analogs set up, you pass turn, execute, whip back, turn back, set up another body in the back, and like do some things. It's really nice for that like combo extension that we've seen in the match play video that we had.
Yeah, I think it does a really good job. So it's hard to find a tamer that you could remove it for, but if anyone in the comments has an idea of like another check choice or another ratio of tamers, I am all ears for it. Yeah. But I do like the Analog Youth at 2. I think this feels really good, and it's not so tamer heavy that I get locked in my hand with tamers. Right. So I'm pretty happy with that balance that I've got going there. Now my option cards are a bit of a hodgepodge because we're trying to still figure out what we like with it, and we're kind of feeling pretty good about this for the most part. But of course we are running wisdom trainings because why wouldn't you want to reduce Digi-Evolution and again get searching very easily? So we're just running 2 right now. You could increase this to 3 theoretically, which I'll kind of go through the missed memory boosts and such. I think a lot of decks are running these wisdom trainings or just any trainings in general. I think they're starting to become a very common staple in a lot of different decks that we're working with because if you can efficiently save memory, why not take it, right?
Right.
So
right.
Yeah, so that is I'm just running 2 for now, but I am contemplating running 3. And then of course we have our missed memory boost. So this is to help us again, draw 1 and trash 1. So, or trash 2, sorry. It's trash the top 2 of your deck and then draw 1. And then of course this allows you to gain 2 memory. So kind of debating with this right now. I haven't gotten to fully play it in action yet just because it didn't come up at least in our last match. So I have to do a little bit more play testing to see how consistent it is. Theoretically, you could replace these with purple memory boost. If you did have a medieval Gallantmon, I mean, you could run a great memory boost in there if you'd like and have that going because I know a lot of people are starting to do that with Nightmare Soldiers, and I think it's very fun to be able to do stuff like that. So we're kind of playing with this right now. I do like being able to gain 2 memory off of the missed memory. I think that is very useful. And of course, filling up the trash, which is kind of why I lean to this more so than my purple memory boost. I thought that building up the trash is a little bit more beneficial, especially, for example, that Apparition Legion when we played and it was the first one in security and there was no trash. And I was like, oh. I was like, if we had that missed memory boost, at least I'd have something in security to work with or something in trash to work with, but I had nothing and I was like, oh, it hurts. So I think the missed memory boosts are going to be very, very useful with more playing and more play testing for sure. Calling from Darkness has saved my butt more than once in many of my play testing. I feel like this is kind of another one of those, you want to run these at least, well, it's limited to 1. So you definitely want to try to run 1. Especially because you want things to be deleting off of your board. So if for some reason you're swinging at your opponent and what you needed to be deleted didn't get deleted, hey, look, now you can delete it and grab 2 cards plus all of your inheritable stuff triggers. So very useful to manage if things don't get deleted. at least you have a way to delete them for a very cheap cost.
Right.
Speaking of deleting things for very cheap cost, Demonic Disaster. This is I didn't even know this card existed until I started looking at like building this deck, and I was like, how can I delete things for really cheap? And I just was looking at all these option cards, and this one came up as deleting one of your Digimon to unsuspend one of your purple Digimon.
Yeah.
So this is great, and I found it a little bit more enjoyable than I think the other one was Back for Revenge that I was debating with. For me and my playstyle, I thought that this was better because it was right away, and I think Back for Revenge kind of required like some deleting, and then it comes back, and then it kind of cycles the Necromon better. But I found that this also worked just as well for me because I'd have a lot of smaller bodies on the field. I drop this, delete it, it unsuspends. Now I can execute and swing again. So I found that this was also very good. Back for Revenge is also a really good card. It just, for my playstyle, I just was like, I might have to play with this more. But I do like Demonic Disaster. And of course, its security effect of you may play one level 3 purple Digimon card from your trash without paying its memory cost. And then on plays don't activate. So you can essentially get out your Candlemon or your Gazimon, which are very good because they don't necessarily have an on-play effect that you're working with. So you kind of get those out, especially the Candlemon Retaliation is very nice to play out. And then you kind of build from there if you do happen to hit this insecurity. But more often than not, I'm literally just hard slapping it. If my opponent chokes me at 1, I'm like, cool. For 1, haha, let me unsuspend and do it again. So that is essentially what we're running there. And lastly, of course, our Apparition Legion. 2 is good. 2 is good. I think 3 would be too many for me. 1 is too little for me as well, because this card is very beneficial, whether it's in your hand or in your security. So I do like this, and it's a Liberator. So guess what? You can grab it off the Ghostmon.
Right.
Woo! So we do love the fact that it is a Liberator card that you can actually grab, which means that if you did hit 2 of them, you can at least grab 1. Or even if you did hit 1 and you had a Gazi and a Bakimon, you can still grab it very easily with that. Totally. But this is strong. I know there's a little bit of a retcon on the wording of it. So you have to bottom deck your opponent's Digimon that has to equate to 9. So it has to equate to level 9. So it has to be either 3 level 3s, a level 4 and a level 5, or a 6 and a 3. If they don't have the 9 worth, it can't happen from what I understand. It has to happen. But in your trash, you can play up to the level 9 equivalent. So you could play a level 3 and a level 4 if, let's say, you don't, from what I understand, I could be wrong. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong. But if you, let's say you only have level 6s in your trash and you use Apparition, you could get the level 6 out. You just don't get your level 3 out because you don't have it in your trash. So the first part must happen of you have to bottom deck up like a total of 9 to your opponent's bottom deck. But then the second half is you just do what you can with it.
Gotcha.
So that's the only caveat to it. But I find more than likely you're going to be able to have what you want. You'll actually see in the video, I visually like count out like, and we talk about it on the video as well. Like we count out what were my combinations that I could work with. I could do a 4 and a 5. I could do this and I could do this. So it's pretty easy for you to get it out without having to worry about that requirement.
Right.
But also double checking your opponent's trash is very important when you're going to do this. So if you don't want to lead them on and make them know that it's coming, just ask them every turn, be like, how many levels are in your trash? And then they'll just never know if you have the card or not, which is great. So, true. But yeah, that is essentially my current deck. So I'm excited to test it fully, and like, I can't wait for the cards to come out. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
And the alt arts for this deck go.
Oh, I'm so the Ghostmon alt arts.
Yeah. Ghostmon Necromon's alt is also super pretty.
My wallet is going to hurt, but I'm okay. It'll be fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a lot of fun. I probably will try to get as close to max rarity or near rarity as I can with it, just because I really like it. But I'll always prioritize the arts that I like over like full max rarity. That's like my Mastamon deck. It's near rarity. It's not max rarity, but Yeah.
But yeah, this is a super fun deck. Thank you for giving us the profile. And like, I guess moving forward, you know, as we start to see these Liberator decks get more support, I think we even talked about it on the commentary video too. Like, what do you feel like is something that this deck could use, like, that may be coming out in like future sets to like kind of pump it up to that next level, you know?
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking, like, looking at this layout right now, I think we definitely need a level 6 or a level 5 ace for sure.
Sure.
Especially because a lot of our current Digimon cards do run level 5 and level 6 aces. Which is where this kind of lacks, because sometimes, I mean, more than likely you're going to be deleting the Phantomon, but having that level 5 just kind of sitting there and it doesn't really do much theoretically on your opponent's side. That's something to look out for. I think even just like an extra level 5 would be nice in here. Like that actually works with the ghost trait would be really beneficial.
Yeah, that's like one thing I did notice, like when I was like looking at stuff for this deck too, I was like, there really aren't like a lot of ghost trait cards like in the pool to work with. You kind of have to, it almost feels like you're like pulling out from like out of archetype stuff that could like hurt your consistency with some of your pieces. That I feel like we just need like more ghosts, like in general, just to kind of pull cards.
Because even the original Phantomon, I forget what BT it was, but there's an original Phantomon that has, it's just a vanilla body. So it just has ghost trait, but it doesn't really have anything. And maybe even a proper like a ghost floodgate would be nice. So that way even though you could still get the Gauzy out in some way. I'm trying to think of how you would get it out, but if like by effect, I don't think you'd get the Gauzy out as easily.
Right.
But maybe having some sort of ghost floodgate style would be nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it just like, I feel like overall the speed is pretty good on it. But definitely having like an ace play. Like I've even debated on playing out the Metal Guru level 6 ace in here. I'm like, I could fit it. I'm like, ace, discard 3, pass turn back to my side. And then I think you can also still delete stuff. Like you don't necessarily have to have Guru in the trait, if I remember correctly.
I believe so, yeah. You can just like
at least
pitch
for
a
the
card
ace
to
play,
delete
right?
something, I believe. Yeah. That's not bad.
I'm like, oh yeah, when attacking once per turn, you may trash 1 card in your hand to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level.
It's not bad.
So you can fill up your trash with a Metal Guru ace if you want. I might have to play test it because I'm kind of tempted, but what would I take out? I don't want to go to 3 Necromon.
No.
And I don't want to go to 1 Reaper, and I don't want to take out the Anubis. So perhaps that's where you would kind of, I don't know, if you had to like bring down a Violet, I'm thinking like
maybe. Yeah, like cut back on a Tamer or so.
Yeah.
So, well, we'll get there.
You have some play with it.
But yeah, no, thanks again for the video. Thanks for hopping on this week. It's been super great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, totally. And thank you guys for tuning in and watching. So if you're enjoying the content, hit that like and subscribe button. Check out Kiri's channel on both YouTube and Twitch, which I will link down in the video description below. And hopefully we catch you on that flippy flip. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah.